All right, so I know I'm a little bit late to the party on this one, but ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra video. And as you can see by your screen right now, we are finally hopping into our full comprehensive season 0 tier list for ranked match in the game. Now, a couple of things first and foremost. Like I said, I know I'm a little bit late to the party, but I wanted to make sure I put in an ample amount of time into the game before I gave my thoughts on why certain characters should be placed where. I think across Steam and PS5, I have a little over 100 hours in the game right now. So obviously not the most. I'm not playing all day every day like some people, but I feel like I do have a decent amount of time, especially in the ranked setting, to understand why I would place certain characters in certain spaces. Now, first and foremost, I know how these tier list videos go. I know you're never gonna please everybody. You know, people are gonna say like, oh, who let Unc cook, right? Trust me, I get it, right? And another thing is I'm placing these tiers based off of 3 criteria to me, okay? This is just, you know, what I'm basing my list off of, okay? So the first one is ease of pickup and play. This means that pretty much anyone can pick up the character and do relatively well if they understand the kit, right? Second is impact, individual impact. Characters that I've seen from my experience make the most impact per game. And third is gonna be ceiling, okay? Skill ceiling, or the height of the ceiling with that character. That means the character has room to grow. If depending on how they get buffed or nerfed in the future, that character has the ability to grow. Depending on, you know, the player, the character could do far greater with, you know, obviously a better player, but they could literally be just a throw pick with somebody that's brand new to the game, right? So those are going to be really my 3 criteria that I'm basing all of these characters off of. But without further ado, fellas, if you do enjoy this content, be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel for more, and let's hop right in. So one more thing that I do want to say before I place Android 18, who is it's probably obvious where she's gonna go, right? Is I don't think anybody in this game is C tier. I don't think we just have an outright trash character yet, okay? So C tier will probably be an unused tier for me unless I start explaining a certain character. Then I'm like, you know what? Maybe they should just go in the worst tier in the game, right? And also the haven't used yet tier. I've gotten a decent bit of playtime on most of these characters. Of course, characters like Frieza and Majin Buu, I played maybe a handful of times across both the betas and the full launch of the game. So maybe I'll put them, maybe I won't, you know, rate them correctly, which you guys can obviously share your thoughts down below in the comments and tell me where I went wrong. Tell me where I maybe even contradicted myself of some sorts, because I do have notes written down. So I will refer to my notes, and I'll even refer to the characters' kits over on this other side of the screen if I need a little bit of a refresher. But for right now, first character that I'm gonna place is Android 18. She's going right to the top of S tier, right? I don't think this even needs to be argued. Android 18, in the hands of a good player, she is the most dominant character in any match that I've been in. Now that may just be me. When it comes to other characters that we'll get to, it kind of depends on the divine draws, but I feel like a character like 18, once you start getting into the higher ranks, she is the difference maker. Whether she's in top or bottom lane, her impact on if she is able to out level or really just outmaneuver the opponent. I've seen 18s solo tanks. I've seen 18s outmaneuver like more long range characters like Piccolo or even Krillin or Oob or things like that. If she's able to outmaneuver those characters, she wins. Her combo will just eviscerates you. I'm sure by now you guys have been hit by the 18 combo, and it just does illegal damage in this game. So I feel like 18 probably the easiest character to place outside of maybe 1 or 2 of these other guys that are obviously going to go in S tier as well. Some of these other characters, it might get a little we might get a little in the mud with some of these other guys, like the next one, which is going to be Baby. Now Baby got kneecapped a little bit in the most recent patch. I was hoping, well, we kind of knew that they were going to nerf Baby specifically after the most recent betas. I was hoping that they wouldn't do him too dirty. I feel like Baby is still a really good character. I'm gonna put him at the top of A for right now. Baby is still a really good character. The most noticeable thing that they did to him was kind of nerf his healing and his third skill ability, right? The ally body possession ability. They nerfed the healing in that. I feel like outside of that, he's still a relatively good character, but his survivability did take a little bit of a hit, right? And the support that he was able to give his teammate in that aspect as well. But his first ability is still really busted, especially in Superstar Divine Draw. First ability is still super busted. Second ability still can, you know, kind of like Vegeta's, right, where he can still secure some kills every now and then. The first and third ability are really the ones that I take notice of when it comes to this character though. Next is gonna be Bojack. I feel like Bojack is one of the most misunderstood characters in the game right now, but it's because when you get a Bojack game, it is so 50-50, man. Now, he is definitely a late game monster, in my opinion. Mid to late game monster. Early game, his third skill ability, which is the one that I like to rank up first, you know, pretty much no matter what, even though I've said in other videos that I like to rank up the projectiles first on most characters. Bojack is one of those characters where I will usually prioritize his third skill with his allies, calling out the Bojack gang and the little the circle area and things like that, just because you can place that somewhere. You can place that on the farm, and you can, you know, try to use your rush attack or maybe your other skills to push the enemy back. One of the only things that I don't like about Bojack is his ult. So many times, bro, I've done this myself plenty of times. It's happened to me when I use Bojack. If you don't use his ult correctly, and even sometimes you're using it in like the greatest spot ever, right? Like you're just blasting straight down a choke past your first base or something like that when people are coming up that lane. Even if you do that, certain characters, Hit, Goku, even, they can maneuver around you, and you can't move with Bojack's ult, man. That is one of the biggest drawbacks of this character. So if people just maneuver around you and you're stuck in this animation for like a couple of seconds, they can just maneuver behind you and just obliterate you, man, and your whole ult has been wasted. You might not have even done any damage to them in particular. If they have the instant transmission combo card, bro, just, if you know that they have that, don't even ult that character. I'm telling you right now, it's just a waste. So for that reason, I think I'm gonna put Bojack. This one's tough, man. My mind is telling me B, but my heart wants to put him in A. For right now, I think Bojack will be our first character in the B tier, because I don't think his pickup and playability is as high as some of the other characters that we're gonna place above him. His impact per game, it is so player dependent. Just like a lot of these technical characters, their impact can be so player dependent, man. I don't know. I'm not comfortable putting him up here with Baby yet. I could change my mind later, but for right now, I think that he's in a good place down here. Majin Buu is one of the most player dependent characters in the entire game. He has some of the best support in the game, don't get me wrong. If I go up here and look at his skill tree distribution, yeah, I think Majin Buu might have the highest support capability in the game. Gohan might be a contender for number 2 and possibly even number 1. I'll have to look at him in a little bit here when we get to him. Majin Buu has some of the most high support capability in the game. When you get into a lane with a Majin Buu and another character, you have to kill the Majin Buu first, right? Because the Majin Buu will just keep that character alive. Healing Ray is one of the strongest abilities in the game. His, what is it called, the strangle gum ability, super annoying. I've seen some nasty combos where when Buu has level 3 strangle gum, since it makes your hurt box like ginormous, it's easy for characters like Piccolo to get easy snipes on you with special beam cannon, right? His third ability, the ability that lets you like run around and push people around off of objectives and things like that, just push them out of position. Majin Buu is one of the best characters in the game, in my opinion, on better players. But for newer players, his pick up and go capability, his pick up and play capability, I don't know if it's that strong. His impact can be enormous. His skill ceiling is enormous as well. So I think I will go ahead and put him in the A tier. Cooler is becoming one of my favorite tanks in the game right now. I don't know how he stole that position from Vegeta and Cell, but Cooler is S tier, right? I don't think anybody's gonna argue that. Cooler, one of the most unkillable, annoying characters in the entire game. His supernova being able to kind of suck people into the center of it, like kind of like Vegeta's what is that purple orb called that Vegeta throws down that pulls people to the center of it? But Cooler does that on a much more massive scale, right? His passive ability is one of the most interesting and takes a lot of getting used to passive abilities in the game. Imperial Retaliation, gain immune to all when activating skills. When an enemy hero lands an attack while immune to all, your next skill will be enhanced with retaliation status. While retaliation is in effect, the next skill will be enhanced. So basically what you do here is you use a skill, the opponent hits you. So I know a lot of people like to use his second skill, the little gravity, the gravity enhancing skill that causes movement speed down, I think it is. A lot of people like to use that. And then when you get hit, say you're getting into like a rush attack battle with them, you're able to use an enhanced version of your eye beams, or you're able to use his third skill to be able to grab them and like slam them on the other side of you so you can reposition people into your other lane mate. And then obviously his transformation and his super attack are just the cherry on top, right? Cooler is one of the best characters in the game, hands down. If you get a good Cooler in your game, you're gonna feel the impact of that character. I don't care if they're a new player, I don't care if they're like intermediate, if they're like a top level player. If you're in the higher ranks of the game, you're probably going to see a Cooler, right? Cooler, Caulifla, Cell, those are the characters that I've seen like as you start ranking up in the game. Those are the tanks that a lot of people like to gravitate towards. Vegeta is obviously going to stay a staple tank in the game because he's just so fundamentally good at pretty much everything that he's supposed to do. But as for right now, I think Cooler is probably, if not the best tank in the game. You could definitely argue a couple of those others that I said before. Caulifla is still really strong. I think she just got buffed too, right? Dabura, I know a lot of people are probably gonna say he should go lower, but Dabura just does everything well. I can't say he does well outside of Stone Spit, right? That's just, you're pretty much dead if you get turned to stone, right? Dabura just does everything well. He has great sustained damage. His range is freaking abnormal, especially with his skill 1 and his skill 3. So Dabura's whole shtick, right, is his passive skill, Demon's Domain, fills the petrification gauge of enemy heroes within a certain proximity. When their petrification gauge is full, you can use a rush attack to petrify them, stopping their movement and increasing your damage against them. Everybody watching this video has been turned to stone before. I can almost guarantee it, and it is almost always an insta-kill unless a miracle happens. Now this paired alongside with skills like his skill 3, which I have come to love so much, Evil Flame, spits flames, applies movement speed down to enemies hit. Enemy heroes hit will also be afflicted with burning, and their petrification gauge will be filled. So not only are you slowing the enemy down with this, and people like to pair this with his second skill as well, which we'll talk about that in a second, but they're also getting burned, which is a little bit of damage over time, right? And their petrification gauge gets filled as well. So if you're able to kind of finish this out with turning them to stone, it's almost always a kill, right? Now his second skill is one of the most underutilized correctly skills in the game, man. When people start really reading these characters kits and applying skills like this, Dabura is broke. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think Dabura is S tier, right? That's probably a good place for him. So his second skill is going to be the Darkness Spear. Throw a volley of spears, applies no vanishing step to the enemy heroes they hit, gain movement speed up when approaching an enemy hero hit by this skill. So this skill takes away their vanish step. I think the duration is while they have the spear sticking out of them. You gain movement speed up. Pair that with his Evil Flame skill, which applies movement speed down and fills their petrification gauge. So these two skills together, they almost cannot escape the Stone Spit, right? Dabura is one of the most overwhelming characters at a higher level. And when I say at a higher level for this character specifically, I mean when you get to like level 8+, right? So after going back and thinking about it a little bit more and actually, you know, speaking my thoughts out loud with you guys, I think Dabura is definitely S tier. I really hope they don't nerf this character too much in the future, but his gameplay loop is super fun. He just does everything that he's supposed to do, and he does it extremely well. Next is going to be Daima Goku. Daima Goku is one of the characters in this game that I have the least amount of experience with, so some of you guys may not agree with my placement for this, but remember, this is pre-patch, right? Like Daima Goku is about to get a little bit of a buff to his damage, and I can't remember if he's getting another buff, but I know his rush attack damage overall is getting buffed, so that might bring him up a little bit from where I'm about to place him. And I think right now, I think I can place Daima Goku in maybe the top of B. I feel like that might ruffle some feathers. Daima Goku is another one of those characters that I feel like is really player dependent, right? And you guys can probably see a pattern. The characters that are really player dependent, I'm probably gonna place a little bit lower because it's like a 50-50 chance, right? You might get an absolutely god carry Daima Goku, or you might get somebody like I had in one of my games last night where they just didn't know where they were doing, right? Like I had a game last night where there were no towers, no bases on either of our top lanes, and our Daima Goku was just up there farming while both entire teams were trying to fight for the Dragon Ball. So I'm gonna place Daima Goku above Bojack because I feel like his ceiling just might be a little bit higher, right? Like there's some pretty cool things you can do with his combo loop with the bomb and the Glorio lightning and hitting the bomb with your rush attack or the power pole to to like send it different places. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with Daima Goku, but that stuff in particular, that goes into like the topic of his ceiling, right, and being player dependent. So for right now, until we see what the buff does for Daima Goku, I think I'm gonna put him at the top of B tier. I don't really have too much more to say about him. I think I'm comfortable with this. Let me know what you guys think down below. Next is gonna be Frieza. So for Frieza specifically, I already told you guys this is one of the characters I have the least amount of experience with. I've had some God Friezas on my team before. I've also had Friezas on my team that didn't really make any type of impact, right? So I have to base this one solely off of just the experience that I've had in game. I've seen good Friezas on YouTube, I've seen them on stream, but just from what I've experienced myself, I don't really know. Frieza's passive skill reads, prevents being interrupted by an attack during quick movement while also increasing speed. So Frieza's whole thing is his summonings, right, with Zarbon and Dodoria, and his third skill grants you and ally heroes movement speed up and create an area that raises Zarbon and Dodoria's attack speed. So this is gonna be this is the move that, you know, increases the attack speed of Dodoria. I know a lot of you guys see this where Dodoria just gets like 10 headbutts in the span of like 5 seconds. So Imperial Decree is what allows him to do that. Now, Frieza's defensive capabilities, I feel like right now, are what is making the character shine, right? His defensive capabilities, holding down a point. If Frieza's the only person alive on your team, and it's like you've only killed one person on the opponent's team, if they're trying to crash 3v1 on a base and Frieza is playing defense, he can hold that down. Probably better than any character in the game, right? So, I don't know, man. I feel like for that reason, I have to put him... I'm gonna put Frieza here for right now. Like I said, I really respect the defensive capabilities of this character. Supernova is just an obnoxious super attack. Drop an enormous energy ball. Charging the attack increases the size of the energy blast, improving range. All enemies in this super attack AoE will be afflicted with all attack down. So if a Frieza is kind of playing the back line when y'all are trying to either defend your point or either steal an objective or something like that, Supernova is pretty much going to snipe it every time, right? Supernova is pretty much going to clear all of those opponents off of the base. It is just as disastrous as a super spirit bomb from Goku. I like this character. I'm not the best with him, but I do respect everything that Frieza is able to do. So for that reason, I will put him a little bit ahead of Bojack for right now. Next is going to be the Gammas. I struggled with this one so hard before I pressed record on this video because the Gammas have some of the best, not only mobility in the game, they are some of the hardest characters to kill because they not only can merge their health bars together thanks to their ultimate attack with the tag capabilities and things like that, but they can also revive one if you killed one already. I feel like the Gammas are obviously you should read every character's kit before you play them, right? And hop into the training room. I feel like the Gammas have the one kit in the game where you absolutely have to read it or you're going to play them wrong. I don't care how good you are. If you don't read the Gammas kit, you're gonna make a mistake. They have the tag mechanic with either one of their super attacks being able to tag into Gamma 1 or Gamma 2, depending on which one you do. They have the revival mechanic with their ult, the special pose, and then they also have core breaker on level 3. You have to understand how these abilities work and how they work in tandem with each other. So their passive skill is gonna read, allows Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 to swap in battle. Each Gamma has their own base HP, rush attack, and movement speed. Gamma 1 is the range-based rush attack. Gamma 2 is the melee-based rush attack, right? So you have to understand that as well. You have to understand that their skill 1 and skill 2 work differently. Gamma 2 is able to chain his skill 1 over and over again, right? I think you can do it up to 3 times if I'm not mistaken. Now for Gamma 1, his is gonna read, deals a flying kick that causes an explosive or a shockwave. So they both do a flying kick, but different effects happen depending on which Gamma you use. Gains extra HP upon activation and when the shockwave hits. Creates an explosion after the shockwave and deals more damage at level 3, obviously. Cannot be activated, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, if one of the Gammas is dead, you can't use, you know, the super attack that coincides with them, right? You can, you know, circumvent that by using the super attack and reviving him. Now, the only thing that I've noticed with the Gammas, and obviously other people are going to notice this the more they get played too, right? If you kill them while their super attack is active, they're just one and done. So for that reason, I think I'm going to put the Gammas at I think I'll put them at the top of A tier. Their survivability is just absolutely insane. Their gameplay loop, if the player does it right, you will probably maybe get 1 kill on the Gammas through the entire game if they're played correctly, man. At the higher level, people are going to be, you know, more in tune with how you need to play against the Gammas, so things can get a little more hairy for them up there, I'm sure. But for right now, I think the Gammas are extremely strong, maybe even a little underrated, because they do take a little more, I guess, knowledge of the character itself and having a little bit more game sense to know when to revive the other Gamma, when to, I guess, switch out and things like that, when to use the range of Gamma 1, when to use the close combat capability of Gamma 2. Really, probably one of the most interesting characters in the game to me. But if they're played right, they have such a crazy impact, and their damage output capability is unreal. Next is gonna be Hit. Hit is one of the most interesting characters in the game. His mobility is out of this world. Does Hit have the best mobility in the game? I think he probably does, right? With his warp capabilities, his ult just making him completely invisible. I've done some nasty stuff with like stealing bases with his ult. There have been times where somebody has been playing defense on the base that I'm currently Gekishin bursting, and they don't even know until the burst goes through and they get the notification that a burst just went through, right? Then they're like, oh shit, there's a hit like right beside me. But by the time they notice that, I've already ported away, right? His first skill, Death Blow, if you get that to level 3, or if you superstart it, it is one of the most devastating moves in the game. Goes through walls and obstacles and things like that. Really good for sniping objectives like Nappa, 16, Jocko, anything like that. I've used it plenty of times for something like that. If you get stunned from his skill 2, which is his Vital Point Strike, I think it's called, odds are you're probably already dead, right? Especially if he's playing in tandem with his lane mate, whether he uses this to secure the kill, maybe you're like half health. Especially if you get hit by this at half health, you are probably dead. If he's playing in tandem with his lane mate and they see that you've been staggered from this, you're gonna get bursted down so crazy. If you've ever played with or against a Hit before, then you know that this character just plays their own game, right? Hit is probably the technical character that I won't say provides the least amount of support, but he's just off doing his own thing. He's securing kills, he's sniping objectives, he's sneaking bases. He's just doing his own thing, right? He's not, you know, standing right next to his lane mate 24/7 like a Majin Buu or a Gohan or something like that. So for that reason, his pickup and playability is not too difficult. His impact will for sure be felt, especially if you don't really know how to play against the Hit. Like the first couple of days with this character, I was just getting rolled by him, right? Then you kind of understand what you need to do and what you need to look out for. Stay away from the grass, stay away from the clouds if you know there's a Hit in the game, because you will just get absolutely obliterated. He's coming out of the bushes like a serial killer, right? So I think I will go ahead and put Hit right behind Baby in the A tier. One of the most fun characters in the game. Fear of death, along with everything else he's able to do. His rush attack having, I think, it's more range if you can't be seen by an enemy or something like that. He is one of the most fun characters in the game. Definitely play him or try him if you haven't already. I don't know if I agree with his difficulty rating, but maybe it's just because this isn't my first MOBA. So maybe for newer players, he could be a little bit more difficult to understand. And his gameplay loop just entirely could be a little, you know, tricky to get a hold of. But I think for right now, Hit being an A tier is kind of accurate. All right, so next is gonna be Kale. Kale right now, and some of you guys might disagree with me for this, but just from what I've experienced in the game so far, Kale could possibly even go in front of Dabura right here. This might be crazy to some people, but her burst damage potential is out of this freaking world. Rivaled by who else? Maybe like Super Saiyan Trunks and getting sniped by Piccolo or something like that. Obviously, Android 18 is up here as well, but hers is just a full combo. Kale, she just pops her ultimate and just mashes all her buttons, right? And you're pretty much dead. You can't really run away from her. It's unreal what her transformation does. Do I say it's in a good spot? I don't know, because pre-transform, she's not really too scary. I think it's her skill 2, the beam, if I'm not mistaken. The beam is pretty good. The beam does a lot of damage, especially if you hold it down and charge it all the way. The beam can get kind of critical, and then you have the whole combo capability loop with her skill 3 and hitting it with either her skill 1 or her skill 2. But for right now, I think Kale is one of the scariest characters to see across from you in the game. So I feel like putting her in S tier isn't too much of a surprising thing, right? Feel free to argue with me down below, but I feel like Kale definitely deserves, at the very least, to be at the back of S tier. Next is Kid Gohan. Kid Gohan I will probably put at the back of A tier. Again, another one of those characters that I don't really have too much experience with, but I fully respect not only his mobility but his support capabilities as well. I feel like Gohan is probably up there with Majin Buu, and I guess you could say Android 17, but I feel like his is to a lesser extent than Buu and Gohan, obviously, because Buu, you have to kill Buu first. You don't necessarily feel like you have to kill Android 17 first to get a win in that lane. With these two characters, I feel like it is almost always smarter to just get them out of the way and then worry about the other character in the lane, right? So Gohan's passive skill Friendship Boost, I think it's called, the little tether effect that he's able to do when he's near you, this paired with some of the combo cards in the game and also some of the stuff that he's able to do with, I think it's his third skill, he's just a little rat, man. Like, I know Gohan being a rat in a lot of these Dragon Ball games is a meme, but in this game he is so much of a rat it's not even funny. So Friendship Boost is gonna read, stay near an ally hero for a certain amount of time to gain all defense up and apply all attack up to ally heroes, and I have to automatically go through his rush attack and his third skill just so you can kind of see how the gameplay loop is playing out here. So his rush attack is gonna read, a physical attack applies physical defense down to enemies hit by the opening attack a certain number of times. And then we go over to his third skill, which is gonna say, leave this to me. This is a little barrier effect skill, right? Choose a single ally hero and warp to them. Applies energy defense up to yourself and a chosen ally hero. After warping, create a barrier centered around yourself. Within the barrier, you and the ally hero additionally gain energy defense up, while enemies are afflicted with energy defense down. And then when you add the supportive capabilities of his super attack on top of that, Gohan is just giving a lot of boost to the team right here. And like I said, he's just a little rat to deal with. Masenko being able to push people around, his kick being able to be charged and just do a lot of burst damage and stagger on top of that. When it's not fully charged, it applies no skills to enemies on hit. And with technical characters already being relatively faster than other characters in the game, and him being able to use a lot of those blue combo cards, I don't know if 3 blues is his best setup, but he's just so hard to catch. Unless he just dives right into you and your lane mate, it is so hard to catch and kill a Gohan, bro. One of the most annoying characters in the game if the player is good with them. But for right now, I think, honestly, I might even put him, I don't really like putting support characters so super low, man, but I think I might actually have to put him, I might put him in B tier for right now. I don't know if he's as good as Majin Buu. Hit, like I said, plays his own game, so I can't really, you know, have the same criteria for him as I'm having for supportive technical characters. Between him and Majin Buu, I would probably rather have a Majin Buu on my team. All right, so next is gonna be Krillin, another little rat in the game, but this is my guy right here. I love playing Krillin. Hit is becoming one of my favorite technical characters along with 17, but I still feel like I'm probably the best on Krillin when it comes to technical. Krillin is one of the most sneakiest, sleaziest characters in the game, because if you get marked and blinded, you are probably cooked, my boy. Him being able to throw down those mines that you are able to see for a couple of seconds, but then they do disappear for the enemy team, you're probably going to walk into them, and you really can't avoid it. There are some obvious places where a Krillin would place his mines, right? Like right in front of the base, in the bushes, because, you know, people like to hide and kind of just see what's going on around the base and things like that. The energy mines, diabolical. His rush attack, the third consecutive attack will be a powered up attack and deal extra damage. If the powered up attack hits somebody marked, it will extend the mark duration. I don't know if a lot of people even know that. If you hit somebody that is marked with your powered up third hit of your rush attack, it's gonna extend the mark duration. So he just has so many ways to not only mark you, but keep you marked longer as well. If you are marked, your day's probably gonna get a lot worse, right? Because here comes his skill 3, and if you're super unfortunate, his ultimate attack. Now his third skill, Scattering Kamehameha, or Scattering Energy Wave, I guess, is gonna read, fire a controllable energy blast. This is the one where he can kind of steer it around for a little while before it eventually just comes and rains down wherever it is. But if you're marked, it's gonna pursue you. It's gonna track straight to you, and all of the blasts are gonna hit you. So that's gonna be a lot of burst damage. And then Destructo Disc. If you are marked, you're cooked if he has this up. So unleash multiple energy discs. They'll penetrate enemy heroes and walls. If an enemy hero is marked, the attack is gonna chase you down, buddy. And if an enemy hero with over 3 debuffs comes into contact with the center of the disc, you might end up getting one shot depending on what hero you're playing or what level you are. You are cooked, buddy. I've seen this devastate so many teams in game. I've done it myself. I've seen my boy Vocal Pineapple do it time and time again. Krillin is one of the best characters in the game. I really hope they don't nerf him into the dirt in the future, because I know people are gonna people are already complaining about all of the ways to get marked, all of the ways he messes with like your FOV and things like that. Krillin does a lot of annoying stuff. He's a super good character though, and I feel like he deserves it. All right, so next is gonna be MVP 17, one of my favorite technical characters in the game. I feel like he's also one of the easier ones to play, definitely a little bit easier than Hit. And even Majin Buu and Gohan, since they, you know, almost strictly focus on supporting your teammates. 17 does a little bit of everything well though. His mobility is some of the best in the game. He has some of the best support in the game because he's able to save teammates from ultimate attacks or really devastating super attacks. His barrier also heals both of you guys as well. I think you get a little bit of movement speed up also. 17 is really good all around for a technical character. I feel like where he gets tricky for newer characters is understanding how to apply his passive skill, which is Infinite Energy Reactor, pretty much letting you use a skill that's on cooldown based on your energy gauge before it comes back up fully, right? So the skill that I see a lot of people using this on most of the time is his skill 3, the barrier. But I think the correct way to apply this skill, and this is kind of what I was getting towards with Gohan earlier as well, is his barrier ball. So barrier ball is going to be his skill that allows you to convert an opponent's buffs into debuffs, and I feel like this can be really devastating for a Gohan player on the other team, right? Because Gohan is able to give just a plethora of buffs to him and his teammates, right? So I feel like knowing how to utilize this correctly is really where 17 can make a difference in an impact in a game. He can kind of stop a snowball if used correctly. And also his second skill, I feel like, is probably the most underutilized skill on this character with Infinite Energy Reactor. I almost never see this. So his second skill, Barrier Knuckle, is gonna apply movement speed down, but if you use it with Infinite Energy Reactor, it's also gonna cause a stagger effect as well. So this kind of reminds me of Cooler's, I think it's his skill 3, where if you use it after Imperial Retaliation, that he picks you up and slams you on the other side. So that's kind of a pseudo stagger, I guess. But Barrier Knuckle and Barrier Ball, I see Barrier Ball getting used for pretty much damage solely. Of course, his barriers are going to be mainly where he shines, being able to block super attacks. I blocked supernovas with this. I blocked a Spirit Bomb one time, even though when it comes to the Spirit Bomb, it's active for so long, it kind of outlasted my barrier. So maybe with a Spirit Bomb, you kind of just want to get out of there. If somebody's going to die to the Spirit Bomb, hey, both of us don't need to die, right? But with a lot of other attacks in the game, Barrier can definitely save you and your teammates from that. So his third skill, Android Barrier, along with his super attack being the full counter barrier, pretty much the basis of his entire kit. I feel like I'm comfortable putting 17 in A tier. A lot of you guys might disagree, but this is one of the easier support characters in the game, I feel like, to just pick up and play. Obviously you need a little bit of a deeper understanding of him to really be able to apply his passive with these other skills correctly. Oh, and also I forgot to mention his rush attack stopping transformations as well. I've done this, I can probably count on one hand how many times I've been able to actually pull this off, because people know by now, right? They're not just gonna transform right in front of 17's face, but it is really cool when you get to pull that off still. All right, so next is Perfect Cell, the epitome of the perfect being in Dragon Ball, right? Now, this character is so difficult for me to place because I feel like he checks off all of the boxes of somebody that I want to put in this higher tier, right? His ease of pick up and play ability is relatively low. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of nuance in Cell's kit, and his probably takes some of the most reading in the game alongside the Gammas, but I feel like somebody could just get a baseline understanding of what he's able to do and perform relatively well with him. His impact is undeniable. When he transforms, this guy just commands attention, commands respect in whatever lane he's in. You always have to watch out for him trapping one of your weaker characters with his super attack that we'll get into in a second here. His survivability with his regeneration ability, this character is insane, man. I feel like I want to put him in S tier, but I might put him at the top of A. I just feel like there's something there keeping me from putting him in this top rank right here. And I know some of you guys may even think he's better than Cooler. I don't know if I can necessarily say that. Now, we do have to get into a little bit of his passive skill right here, because this is going to be pretty much the basis of his whole kit. Bioenergy. Base HP, armor, and all attack power increases the more bioenergy you absorb. And the way you absorb that bioenergy is through his rush attack, right? So attacks become drained attacks when enemy HP is below a certain percentage for a set period of time after an enemy is obstructed or when performing a finisher. Drain effects pre-transformation gain bioenergy and restore HP, and when you gain enough bioenergy you can of course transform. So post-transformation, what this does is restore HP and apply movement speed down to enemies. Effect is increased if activated from behind an enemy, finisher excluded. So with Cell, he has a couple of abilities that gain different effects if they're used from behind an opponent. His rush attack is 1 and also his skill 2 if I'm not mistaken. So ideally with Cell, you want to put your opponent in a predicament where they're trying to exit the fight. They're trying to find a way to get out of this situation with you, because if they don't, their bioenergy is going to keep getting stolen and you're going to keep getting different effects from that, extra HP and the sort. But if they run away, then they open themselves up to kind of a different, type of move set from you. And this is where we're going to get into his skill 2. So warp to a target and deliver a strike. But if you do it from behind the opponent, or if they have their back turned towards you, like I said, if they're trying to run away or something like that, you're going to get a different animation and a different effect. So you're going to be able to put them in the bear hug, and it's also going to stagger them as well. And now they're just in the gameplay loop of, are you going to circle back in front of them while they're staggered and kind of try to herd them back towards your other teammate with your rush attack while gaining bioenergy and extra HP and things like that? Or are you going to pull your ultimate and just put them in the Hell in a Cell, right? Just 1v1 season now, and odds are they're probably gonna die if you put them in that ring. He also has other ways of getting HP back with his regeneration ability. This is gonna be his skill 3. All right, so now we're about to get into the rest of the DPS characters right here. Piccolo. Now, this is really hard for me to do, and I don't even know if I all the way agree with this placement right now, but at the moment, until Piccolo gets these buffs in season 1, I think I will go ahead and put him right here behind Bojack. And hear me out. The only reason I'm doing this, I appreciate Piccolo. I like this character a lot, but there's just certain things in his kit that I wish they did differently. Things that a character like Krillin has, I really wish that they applied to Piccolo to some degree. Don't get me wrong, his passive skill is pretty decent. Attacking enemy heroes with a rush attack will lower your cooldowns on abilities. His rush attack, I think, is his 4th or 5th hit on the rush attack, and then the first hit after Demon Whip is going to be a powered up attack, which is his skill 3, the extendo arm ability or whatever. But Hell Zone is one of the most, for me at least, Hell Zone is one of the most controversial skills in his move set. So the way Hell Zone works is you put all the Hell Zone orbs in the air above, say, an objective, or most of the time it'll be a base, right? So they float there for a certain amount of time, which is already strike 1 for me. I hate that it's only there for a certain amount of time. I wish it was there until they were triggered by either you pressing the command again or by an opponent running through there, right? But they're only up there for a certain amount of time, and they explode or they drop and explode when somebody walks through them, right? This is the other point of contention for me. I wish that there was a way to kind of like Krillin does with his scatter command Maya. If the opponent is marked, all of the orbs will track to them, right? I wish Piccolo had something like that. Now, I know he probably doesn't, because when he gets to level 3 on Hell Zone, he puts like 40 of them hoes in the air, right? You will probably get one shot if there was a way for them to pursue you, but you have to kind of walk right under them for that to happen. If you just stand within the gaps in Hell Zone for a couple of seconds, they won't hit you. I'm not too sure if you're able to just completely vanish step out of the Hell Zone if you step in it and see it. I don't know if the one that you step under still tracks towards you. I have to, somebody down below in the comments, let me know if that's how that works. But if you have the instant transmission combo card, which gives you 2 vanish steps, odds are you probably won't get hit by the Hell Zone, right? You just double vanish step out and you're in the clear. But I have to give full respect to Special Beam Cannon. This thing is devastating. One of the most devastating ultimate attacks in the game, right alongside Spirit Bomb and Destructo Disc. If you're marked, Special Beam Cannon just obliterates people. And like I said earlier, the combo with Majin Buu being able to make your hitbox or your hurt box bigger with a Strangle Gum, Special Beam Cannon will absolutely obliterate you, man. Especially if you charge this thing all the way up, and at level 3, oh my god, man. I don't care if you're a level like 12 tank, you just got Ripper Yan, you got all this extra shield up, you're gonna feel that Special Beam Cannon. I don't care. Still though, there's still some things within Piccolo that I wish they did differently. I rarely see Demon Whip getting used. It's kind of finicky sometimes too. You have to be in a place where you can't even use it. Most of the time, I don't want to Mr. Fantastic myself right to the enemy. I want to use it to get out. So I wish that you were able to grab things other than a wall, right? Because if you're in a big heated battle with a lot of these characters that have projectiles, a lot of times the walls are going to get destroyed. So if you're Piccolo and you're in a bad position, you probably will die, right? It can just get kind of iffy with this character sometimes. All right, next is Super Saiyan Goku, another character that has to go in S tier, right? Goku during Superstar matches is probably the most impactful character in the game. Does anybody disagree with me when I say that? Probably not, right? Superstar Goku, probably the most impactful character in the game. Then if you get Superstar and Golden Cell Juniors, that game can get away from you so fast if you don't find a way to deal with this Goku. It is absolutely insane. Some people are finding other ways to utilize Superstar with Goku outside of Kamehameha, but I still think as of right now, Kamehameha on Superstar Goku is one of the most devastating things in the game. Out of every other character in this game on this roster to choose from, if you get a Superstar Divine Draw match, there will almost 99.9% of the time be a Goku, and if you don't pick the Goku, your teammate probably will. This guy, in my opinion, he is easily, without a doubt, the easiest character to play in the entire game, which I feel like he should be, right? He's the main character, and most people that are just checking out the game, they'll probably pick it up and pick Goku first, right? His impact is undeniable in every single game that he's in because of Kaioken ×4 Kamehameha, because of Spirit Bomb. But even though I feel like this character is super simple all the way around, and he's another one of those characters that just does everything well, I feel like his passive skill, Violent Rage, along with Kaioken, give him a little bit of a higher ceiling, right? So he might not just be a totally brain dead character. There's a way to play this character at a high level where you're not predictable, in my opinion. All right, so our next character, Super Saiyan Trunks. I've been waiting to talk about this fella, man. Oh my goodness, we talked a little bit about burst damage earlier. If you've never been bursted down in the span of like 2 seconds from 100 to 0 by this character, or chased to the absolute ends of the earth, I envy you, man. I think I'm still gonna put him mid A tier, maybe right around here. I'm not too sure. His survivability definitely is not as good as the characters in front of him. He does have probably the best burst damage in the game. There's just little things that the characters in front of him do that I feel like this is a really good spot for him, right? So Trunks' entire kit, his entire game plan revolves around his passive, the overcharge ability, right? So basically what the overcharge ability does is he's able to reset his cooldowns after defeating an enemy, after getting an assist with defeating that enemy, or after beating a god of destruction or a boss, etc, etc. So basically Trunks is almost always going to have a cooldown up, right? But I feel like where players kind of find trouble with this character is being too greedy with him, because you want to get that cooldown reset. You'll probably a lot of times chase an opponent down that you think is weak and really killable into a really bad position. Now you're out of position, you're gonna force your teammate to move out of position to try and help you, and now you're just both in a really bad spot. But with what Trunks is able to do by himself, I feel like this can be a really impactful character. The one thing that I will say about Trunks though, unless the player is just really good with that character, and this is kind of why I placed him mid A tier as well, unless the player is super duper good with that character, like Trunks OTP, One Trick Pony, he probably will not be the most impactful player on that team at any given time, right? I feel like there's a lot of DPS ahead of him that will mostly always be more impactful. I feel like a lot of these tanks will mostly always be more impactful. And then if you have a character like Krillin, even some of these characters behind him, like these 3 technical characters behind him, they will, especially early game, I feel like they can make a lot more of an impact early game than Trunks can. Even with a character like Majin Buu or even 17 really enabling what Trunks wants to do, I just feel like there's greater potential with other characters, right? But if you're able to get Trunks going, once he gets going, he's a monster, bro. I'm not saying Trunks is bad. He's obviously in A tier, right? He just has some hitters in front of him. So I feel like that's where, you know, he just kind of falls short in some aspects compared to these guys, but not a bad character at all. And his passive skill is one of the strongest in the game, in my opinion. All right, next, the Saiyan Prince, Vegeta. Where do we put Vegeta on this tier list when he has all these heavy hitters in front of him or behind him, depending on where I like to place him? Now, Vegeta, I feel like, I said this earlier, I'm pretty sure, Vegeta is one of the most fundamentally sound characters in the game. Probably another one of the easiest characters to play in the game alongside Goku, which I feel like that makes sense, right? Goku and Vegeta should be the easiest characters to pick up and play because, you know, when players are just checking out the game for the first time, those are probably the 2 characters that they want to see, right? So Vegeta, really good at pretty much everything. His passive skill, Prince's Pride, gain a reduced cooldown HP effect when your HP is below a certain percentage. So when your HP drops below, I think it's actually marked on your health bar, right? When it drops below that certain percentage, your cooldowns will get reduced. His rush attack is just a regular rush attack, no different effects with that. His energy blast volley, which is going to be a skill 1, fire multiple energy blasts, recover armor when you hit enemies, and you're going to see this in a second here. Vegeta has a lot of ways to get armor within his kit. When this is at skill level 3, it'll cause an explosion that consumes nearby enemies, and you can move and change direction while you're firing, which is really helpful as well. His second skill, Photon Bomber. This is the skill that I was talking about earlier when it came to Cooler. So fire an energy blast and cause an explosion. This is the purple key blast that he fires, and it kind of pulls the enemies towards the middle, right? Energy blast from enemy rush attacks will be destroyed if hit by the explosion. So this nullifies enemy ranged rush attacks as well. And his third skill, Explosive Wave. Generate an explosion centered around yourself, forcibly moves enemies away, and recovers armor upon hit. So there's 2 ways for him to gain armor within his kit right there. And then we also have his super attack as well, which recovers armor for you too when it hits an enemy. And this is going to be Big Bang Attack. Vegeta, like I said, super easy pick up and play character. His impact is definitely there, especially if you let him kind of just dictate what goes on in the lane. If you start letting him steal farm and things like that with his skills, he can push players around with his explosive energy wave, get them out of position, push them away from a point if he just kind of drops on it and pushes them away from the Android 16 of the Nappa. Couple of nuanced things you can do with his kit, but overall just a really easy, really solid character to pick up and play. A lot of impact, and I like this character a lot. So for that reason, I'm gonna put him probably right behind Cell. All right, we're getting to the end of the road right here. So next is gonna be Caulifla. Now this might be another little bit of a controversial placement right here, but I feel good putting Caulifla right here at the back of S tier. So the thing about Caulifla, and maybe this isn't even controversial because I still see a lot of people complaining about her as well. Caulifla is a very disruptive character. She commands attention wherever she is, right? And that's pretty much what you want out of a tank character. Her provoked ability is so strong in my opinion. I'm surprised that they didn't tweak that at all in the latest patch notes, but maybe though there's a chance that she could get power crept here soon with depending on what type of tank that they release in season 2. So maybe they're just waiting to see how that plays out with her before they do anything with provoked or anything like that. But the way that provoked works is in her passive skill, enemies you have provoked will deal less damage to you, but you deal more damage to people that are provoked with your rush attack, with some of your other skills in her kit. And she's also able to extend it as well, kind of like how Krillin is able to extend the duration of people being marked. So the way that her passive skill works is enemies that you have provoked will deal less damage to you. Obviously with certain attacks you're going to be able to deal more damage to enemies that are provoked, and she also has skills that are able to extend the duration of provoked as well, kind of like how Krillin is able to extend the duration of enemies that he has marked. Caulifla has some of that going on as well, and I don't think she has a single weak skill in her entire kit. So her first skill, well actually let's talk about her rush attack. It's going to be another physical rush attack, but if the enemy is provoked, she'll be able to deal more damage to them with her rush attack. Her first ability is going to be Storm Kick. This is the roundhouse kick that she does. Applies provoke to enemies hit as well, and if an enemy is hit at close range with this, it'll extend the duration of provoked. Can move and change aim direction while using the skill. So her second skill is going to be Blaze Kick. Fire an explosive energy blast, performs a follow-up attack to enemy heroes on hit. Provoked enemy heroes will take additional damage. I swear it feels like this thing nukes me, and then she pairs it with the roundhouse kick. It just gets diabolical out here, man. And then her third skill, this is the one that this the bread and butter right here, man. Energy Release. Release a field of energy around you, block enemy energy attacks, and prevents them from approaching. Applies movement speed up to self after activation. So she gets this barrier around herself. It pretty much just pushes all of the enemies all around the map. Just obnoxious type move, right? And she gets speed up also. Do you see how this character is just getting more and more annoying the more that I read her kit? And next we have her super attack, and obviously she can transform into Super Saiyan 2 as well, which she gets, you know, the standard stuff from that. So her super attack is going to be Crush Cannon. This is why this skill right here is kind of why I had to place Bojack so low. Why couldn't Bojack get this? Release a large energy wave, applying provoke to any enemies it hits, and can move and change direction while using the skill. I promise you guys right now, if Bojack was able to aim his super attack or his ultimate attack and move while using the skill, I wouldn't have put him this low. That's pretty much one of the sole reasons, outside of I think his kit can be kind of finicky at times with his skill 1 and skill 2. Outside of that, one of the main reasons that I put him so low, him just being able to get obliterated while using his ultimate attack, it just feels so bad, right? But Caulifla, I feel really confident putting her in S tier. I don't think people would argue with that, right? Really good character all the way around, really disruptive, like I said earlier, commands attention anytime she is on the screen. And you know, even if the player isn't that good, I feel like you are going to feel the impact of this character at some point within the game, whether it be early, mid, or late game. Caulifla is gonna make an appearance and get something done somewhere, right? All right, so next character is gonna be Oob, and oh my goodness, man, I feel like, well, maybe not so much lately because people are starting to wake up and figure this character out a lot more, and I'm starting to see him a lot more as well. But I feel like up until this past week, Oob was potentially the most slept on character in the entire game, right? Some of the highest sustained damage in the game. His stats might not read that he has super high burst damage potential, but when you have full Cyclone, he is able to just devastate your health bar, man. His Cyclone ability is pretty much where his whole kit revolves around. Cyclone Stream is going to be his passive skill. Gain Cyclone when you activate certain skills or your super attack. Expend Cyclone when performing a rush attack to gain an additional attack. Cyclone will gradually deplete over time. There's so much cool stuff you can do with this guy's passive ability, man, and his skills are so good as well. I think all 3 of his skills are just absolutely amazing, man. And then his ultimate attack, just being able to expend all of the Cyclone at once. Oob is just one of the coolest characters in the game, and I'm glad people are starting to see that this guy is actually really good. I really like Oob. I don't care if he's on my team or not. Even if he's not on my team, I just like seeing this character be played. He's super cool to watch in action. I don't think I can put him above the Gammas just because their survivability is out of this world, and their damage potential is some of the highest in the game. But I feel like right here is a really decent spot for Oob, right? Maybe give or take a spot or 2 to the backside. But if you guys agree with this, let me know down below in the comments. Once again, I feel like Oob is finally getting the attention he deserves. One of the coolest characters in the game, one of the best characters in the game, in my opinion, right? Last but not least, true divinity, Zamasu. Now, with the nerfs that Zamasu got, I don't feel like he was kneecapped as much as Baby per se, and even Baby I don't feel like got kneecapped that much, but you definitely kind of feel the changes on Zamasu. So with that being said, I'm obviously not putting him in B tier. I feel like Zamasu is still up here in A tier, still one of the best tanks in the game. I just feel like they took him down a notch from doing everything great to doing everything good, if that makes sense. He was definitely one of the most picked characters in every single match in the beta, which is probably why he got those nerfs, right? One of the strongest characters in the game in the beta. But now that we have these other tanks, I think maybe Vegeta eclipsed him a little bit now. I think Cell and Cooler and Caulifla are probably still better than him. He's right around this Baby level, if you ask me. In my opinion, body regeneration is just one of the strongest passive abilities in the game. Unless they fundamentally change it, it's just going to continue being one of the strongest. Attack enemy NPCs and bosses with skills to charge the regeneration gauge. It depletes and you gain HP back. If the gauge is at a certain amount, when you're knocked out, you get revived. One of the strongest passives in the game, hands down. I don't think anybody is arguing that, right? One of the coolest kits in the game too, Heavenly Arrow, being able to apply movement speed down, and you can move around and aim it while you're firing it as well. His second skill, I forget the name of it, being able to forcibly move opponents every which direction, right? Enemies hit by the attack or forcibly move. His third skill, Fierce God Slicer, sweep the area around you in a horizontal strike. Continuous damage being applied to enemies on hit, so he has damage over time with this ability as well. Well, he's definitely one of the easier pick up and play characters, especially since, you know, he's been in since the first beta, right? So people have a lot of experience with him already. His impact, I feel like these other tanks definitely have a lot more impact than him in game, but if you get a really good Zamasu player, you're definitely gonna feel the effects of that, right? His skill ceiling, actually I don't really know too much. Is Zamasu's skill ceiling a little bit higher than most other characters? Probably not, right? I feel like he's able to do a lot of cool stuff. I mean, maybe if you factor in the damage over time applications and the being able to forcibly move opponents around like Majin Buu with his second skill, maybe using his super attack to not just, you know, secure a kill, but make sure that your other skills or your teammates can secure a kill with using that movement speed down area effect. Possibly, right? Possibly. But I feel like there's other tanks that kind of just do his job a little bit better. But guys, that is going to finish my season 0 tier list for Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra. Let me know down below in the comments if you agree with my placements, where you will move certain characters around. This video was super long, man. Hopefully I can still get this out tonight before season 1 goes live, but that is gonna do it for this one, fellas. Let me know down below in the comments what you think about this, what characters you would switch, who you think the best character in the game is right now, and who you want to see moving forward. Have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, my boys.